Hello, hello, hello. I hope all is well, y'all. Come on in as I get things together over here. I hope all is well, y'all. Happy Monday. It's definitely a Monday. It's been a day, okay? But I'm excited to jump on with y'all and talk about our topic. As I get everything up here. Okay. Where are we at? We are talking about when growth feels hard. How are we supposed to practice that self-love, right? When we're going through the process or the progress or making progress in growth. So that's the topic tonight. If this is your first time, make sure to like the live. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Debbie. I'm a certified mindfulness coach. We talk about all things self-care, mindfulness, mental health on this channel. And today, our topic is just to kind of dive into that discussion of growing and what that actually looks like and feels like, and to talk about that, discuss that a little bit. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We are officially live on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram. Well, almost officially. Let's see here. I'm gonna change this. There we go. So, I hope this topic is helpful. I hope this helps shed some light on what growing really feels like. I think we kind of glamorize it, during this time with all of the, I don't know, it's just popular, right? It's popular right now to be growing and to be healing in our mental health. But I think that we don't necessarily talk about what growth and what that process and progress actually looks like. So I'm happy to discuss this. Hey, Dr. Quinn, welcome in. Hello, did Loki? I'm sure, I hope I'm saying that right, but welcome in. I'm excited to get everybody on so that way we can talk through. If you haven't already, make sure to like the live. We're live on both YouTube and Instagram. Call you did? Am I saying it right? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Again, make sure to like the live. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. I am in the Chicagoland area. Okay, perfect. I'm in the Chicagoland area. But like I said, I am a certified mindfulness coach. We talk about on this channel all things self-care, mental health. Tonight we're talking about when growing feels hard. And a lot of times growing is going to feel hard. Hey, Hiru, welcome back. Thank you for joining every week. So it is going to feel difficult. It's going to feel hard. And I think that's one thing that we don't talk about. We say that we should grow. We say we should be making progress. We say that we should be doing all of these wonderful, beautiful things when it comes to growing and getting better mentally, right? But we don't actually talk about the hard part. We don't talk about the feelings and emotions that are associated with growth. And they're all not pretty. They're all not happy. They're all not, you may not even feel like you're growing even when you are actually growing. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to give you, let me see, I have 4 things that you want to keep in mind, or 5 things that you want to keep in mind when growing and allowing yourself to practice some form of self-compassion during this process. Because a lot of times we go through the process of healing, or we go through the process of getting better or growth, and then we give up halfway through because we're feeling all of these emotions and it's not, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel nice. My name is Debbie. That's my name. Welcome in. Okay, awesome. So let's dive in, right? So when it comes to growth, there are a few things that you may be experiencing, right? You may have some feelings of identity confusion, like you feel like you're not yourself. You feel kind of like outside of your body and kind of watching things happen versus you experiencing different things. You may see your circle change. You may see your environment change. It may be changing voluntarily or involuntarily. And because you're growing and evolving, it's just happening and you're not really understanding why. You may find yourself alone more often. You may find yourself more emotionally exhausted and fatigued. You may feel just a lot of internal conflict, just a lot of back and forth in your mind about what you should be doing, where you should be going, and what you should be thinking, what you shouldn't be thinking. So just a whole lot that's happening internally. There may be some fears, there may be some anxieties that you're experiencing day to day. Fear of success, perfectionism, imposter syndrome. There may be so many different things that you may be feeling right now. And then just the feeling of losing, the feeling that you're losing things or that you're failing at some point, or feelings of guilt or shame because of your changing and evolution. So with all of these feelings brewing, it may feel like that either growth isn't happening or that you're going backwards. There's so many different things that could be happening internally that is creating this sense of I failed, or this sense of I'm not growing, or this sense of I'm losing rather than I'm actually getting better, or I'm progressing, or healing, right? Because if you have a certain state of mind that you've always been in throughout your life, and then you begin to change that, right? The environment and the people around you may still be in that state. And so as you grow, as you heal, as you get better, as you adapt new ways of thinking, historically, right, things are just going to, we've seen it throughout our lives, things are just going to change and evolve, and it's just going to happen. Sometimes it may feel like overnight, right? So that may be where you're at, or that may be what you're afraid of when it comes to growth. So there's a few things I don't want to drop on you as far as like thinking about growth and accepting the fact that this is a part of the process. So number one, understand that growth isn't always pretty. We've kind of talked about that already, and that it's okay. Okay? Allow yourself to feel that uneasiness. Allow yourself to process that. Because the more that you push it away, the more that you try to reject those feelings and emotions, it prolongs your process of growth. Because now you're distancing yourself from growth and you're trying to fall back into the place of familiarity, the place of certainty, the place of masked safety, okay? Because you may feel safe even though it may not be the best thing for you. It feels safe because it's familiar. Okay, so understanding that growth isn't always pretty, and that it's okay that it's not pretty. It's going to be messy. It's going to feel uneasy. It's going to feel even unforgiving at times. That's normal, and it's a common, normal human experience to feel that way about your process and your progress and growth. Okay. Again, you're getting rid of things that you are familiar with. And that doesn't feel good, right? There's even some sense of grief that happens when you're growing, especially when it involves certain environments and certain people. Because you may have spent a certain amount of time around these people or in these environments, and now that you're growing and that you're getting better, you see on the other side the light and why it would be good for you, but it also is unfamiliar. It's also uncertain. It's also could be unforgiving. It could also be on that other side be some sense of failure. So because of that, we try to resort back to what's familiar, even though it may not be what's best for us. So thinking about those things that are changing and evolving, and those things that you are familiar with, or you may even see as safety, and allowing yourself to process and grieve those things, grieving the safety, grieving the comfort zones that you were in, and replacing it with, unknown, the honesty, the uncertainty, and the acceptance is scary. I get it, y'all. I get it. It's scary, but it's necessary, right? It's necessary for you to get where you want to be. And sometimes that necessary piece of you that has to happen, it just feels daunting and it hurts. It's painful, but it has to happen, right? Especially if you have goals, if you have things that you want to accomplish, if you have things that you want to get to. So, oh, look at God, I called alive. Blessings to you. Thank you, Faith, for joining. So this is it, right? That's number one. Understand that growth isn't pretty. It's messy. It's wonky. It feels frustrating. It's not always attached to happiness. It's not always attached to joy. It's not always attached to those things. So the more that we understand that and accept that and embrace that, the more that we'll be able to fight through it to get to the other side, right? So that was number one. Number two, create space for all versions of you. Create space for all versions of you. I'm sorry, I'm looking away because I'm looking at my notes here. So embrace the evolution, but don't erase the past. Embrace the evolution or the change, but don't erase the past. So sometimes when we're growing, we make an attempt to erase the past and distance ourselves. And when we are reminded or triggered, or those things, those past pieces of ourselves come up, it creates frustration, anger, guilt, shame, and impatience with ourselves. So find ways to process the versions of you that are now evolving. So sometimes we grow in these really difficult feelings and emotions about our growth because when we are triggered, or when we go back to the way that we used to act or be, even if it's for a split second, we feel like it's everything else is just kind of blown up, and then you can't continue in your growth, and you can't continue in your progress, and you can't continue in your process. Or we may feel like we try to distance ourselves so much that we try to forget what happened, or we try to forget who we used to be, or we try to forget our past. And there may be some pieces of us that remind us of that piece of us. So we feel like we're not growing. We feel like we haven't made any progress. So we just stop trying, right? But this is a space for you to create space for all versions of yourselves and to honor each version of you and say, okay, yeah, 10 years ago, I was a mess, okay? I was a hot mess, but that's okay because I'm growing here, I'm growing here, I'm growing here. Growth isn't about erasing your past, but making peace with it and accepting it as a part of your journey. Okay? Sometimes when we go through that process of just trying to erase it all, it keeps coming up and it keeps us in a cycle. But if you actually take the time to say, you know what, I was wilding, I was doing the most. I had a hot temper. I had this, I had that, but that's okay because I've evolved and I've changed, and that piece of me is still there. It's still a piece of me and it's still a part of my past, but that doesn't mean that I have to be that anymore. It doesn't mean that I have to resort to that anymore. And when we're honest with ourselves about that, it allows us to accept that that's who we were. So that way, when we have this new version of ourselves, we can actually be excited about it. We can actually move forward instead of us trying to use this new version to mask our old version. You know what I mean? Instead of us trying to use who we are currently to just cover up what we used to be, instead of it being a resolution to what we used to be. So keep that in mind. Create space for all versions of you. Embrace all of those areas and have it to not necessarily be an erasing of your past, but a way to accept yourself in this journey, okay? The more acceptance you can process, the more that you'll be able to enjoy the new version of you. Otherwise, you're going to spend your life just trying to cover up the old version of you. And that's not, it's not necessarily what we want to do, And then guess what? The more that you don't cover up yourself and who you used to be, it can help somebody else, right? And then with you helping someone else, that's a part of your growth. That's a part of your process. That's a part of your progress. That's a part of your healing. So don't allow yourself to be shamed or guilted and to try to cover up that last version of you with the new version. Even though the new version is progress, that old version may pop up. And when that old version pop up, you're going to beat yourself up about it unless you go through that acceptance. So that was number 2. I'm babbling now. Let me keep going. That was number 2. Number 3, be patient with the process. I know this is cliche, but it's important to understand. Be patient with the process, okay? That feeling of wanting to be there already, right? The frustration that with the slowed progress or the relapsing of old habits, like I was mentioning before, you may pop off on somebody one day, they just caught you on the wrong day. You're like, this is the old me, this is the new me. That doesn't mean that there hasn't been growth. There was a time at a time where you will pop off, snap off on people and ain't care nothing about it. The fact that you actually have some form of awareness and sense of being and want to make a change and you want to be better than or do better the next time, that's growth in itself, right? So understanding that it's a process. And depending on how old you are, I'm in my late 30s. If I've been living a certain way for the past 38 years and then now decide that I want to change, that's 38 years of learning that I have to now unlearn. So it's not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to take some time. Even when you think about when I had my kids, my doctor even explained to me, she said, it takes 9 months for you to develop this child and to birth this child. It's going to take months and months and months for you to get back to where you used to be. And you may not even be right back to where you used to be, but that's okay. And we have to think about that, not just in the physical, but also in our mental, It's going to take some process and progress for us to get out of those things. And you're not going to make that progress overnight. And that's okay. We're human, y'all. Our brain is only made to process information up to a certain point, right? Per day. So it's like with us being bombarded with all of the information that we're taking in. I talked about this, was it last week or maybe the week before, where I feel like our brains are overloaded with all of the technology and all the information that we're taking in every day. For us to shift and change a habit, or for us to shift and change a mindset that we've consistently had throughout our lives, it takes work and it takes patience. So be patient with the process, and really be compassionate with yourself surrounding it. Also, don't compare yourself to other people, right? If you see other people that are operating at a level that you want to be at, you don't know what it took for them to get there, right? So you comparing yourself to them creates more frustration, and it also creates a space where you want to speed up the process. Now it's like, oh, well, they're 38 and they're doing much better than I'm doing, so I need to speed up my process to make it work so I can get on their level. No, their pace is different from your pace. Their song is different from your song. Their book, their character development. Trying to give y'all some comparisons. Their character development takes a little bit longer than yours, or your character development may take a little bit longer than theirs. It doesn't mean that their story is better than yours and your story is better than theirs. Does that make sense? There still can be two good stories. You know what I mean? So comparing yourself to other people is another way for us to get into the mindset of I have some sense of urgency. I have to move quickly. I have to go fast. I have to progress and be this way so that way I can meet this person, or I meet this group of people, or meet this state of being that I feel like I should be. But no, go at your own pace. If your music, if your song is a little bit slower tempo, that's fine. That's cool. I like ballads. You know what I'm saying? It don't gotta be a fast song. If your novel is 700 pages and their novel is 300 pages, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. A novel is a novel. If it's good, it's good. You know what I'm saying? So really think about the comparisons that you may be making, or what is creating the urgency of you trying to be this version of you, that this picture of you that you have in your mind. Is that picture coming from you? Is it coming from your comparisons? Is it coming from what people tell you you should be? Is it coming from God? Is it coming from, like, where is that picture coming from? And remove the comparisons, because that's what creates that impatience in the process. Again, I was blabbling again. My bad. That was number 3. Number 4. Hold on, let me go back actually. Number 1 was understand that growth isn't always pretty. Number 2 is create space for all versions of you. Number 3, be patient with the process. And number 4, focus on progressive results rather than end results. Focus on progressive results rather than end results. Okay? So sometimes when we think about growth, we have this end game in mind. We have this end picture of what life should look like. And because we're striving for the end goal instead of the progressive results, we get frustrated because we don't see this depiction of the end goal, right? So thinking about your progressive results, the things that are happening day to day, versus this grandiose picture that you may have of yourself and this new big huge version of you. Because if it doesn't happen within a certain period of time, we will feel like there is no progress, and then we completely stop and we just go back to our normal familiarity, our comfortability, the place that feels safe, the place that feels certain. Okay, so focus on your progressive results. What are the things that are happening daily that that you can pinpoint as growth, or that you're getting better, right? Have your thoughts changed? Has your actions changed? Would you have responded the way that you initially, in this time, did you respond the way that you would have responded in the past? Whatever that growth goal you have for yourself, find ways to look at progressive results. The more that you're able to find those progressive results, that will keep you motivated to keep going. Focus on small wins that happen day to day, and the rest will unfold, right? You'll look up one day and you'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm a bit better in this place, in this space. I was like not so good here, but through practice and through the work that I've done so far, I'm getting better. I can see the growth. Even if you have like an accountability partner, right? Someone that you trust, that you can confide in, like, hey, do you see me getting better? And they may pinpoint things that you didn't even see. I've done this before, more so in the workplace, with my manager and things of that matter. But I'll say like, hey, like, do you see me getting better in this area? And they're like, yeah, actually, I've seen this and I've seen that. And it may have been something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. So keep that in mind. Find the progress results, not the end results. And then lastly, don't equate growth success to your worth. I'm going to say that again. Don't equate growth success to your worth, okay? Don't equate whether you're growing or not to be how worthy or not worthy you are. Okay, your worth is always there, regardless of whether you're growing or you're not, or you're stagnant, or you may even feel like you're not growing, right? Your worth is still there. So allow your worth meter to still be here while your growth meter may do this, right? Don't allow your worth meter to go with your growth meter, okay? Worth stays here. While you're growing and healing and learning and evolving, that may change and go up and down. Worth still stays here, okay? So yeah, that was number 5. All of the points were, I'll go right back to the top just in case. Number 1 was understand your growth isn't always pretty. Number 2, create space for all versions of you. Number 3, be patient with the process. Number 4, focus on progressive results rather than end results. And number 5, don't equate growth success to your worth. I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'm going to leave y'all with some affirmations. If you haven't already, make sure to like the live. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do these lives every Monday. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to leave you with some affirmations. I have 7 affirmations on the topic. Feel free to use the affirmations however you wish to. So you can write them down, you can journal them, you can write them down on sticky notes. If you need to change the language, please change the language. It's perfectly okay. This is just a framework, doesn't necessarily have to be word for word. But yeah, make sure to take notes if you wish to, and take these away with you to hold on to when you need them. And yeah, let me dive into the first one here. Number 1, I don't need to hide who I was to be proud of who I am. I don't need to hide who I was to be proud of who I am. I don't need to hide who I was to be proud of who I am. And this just goes back to, what number was that? What number was we talking on? Creating space for all versions of yourself. Number 2, you don't have to hide, right? You don't have to hide yourself in guilt and shame in order to be a better version of you. You can be a better version of you with those faults, with those failures, with those pieces of yourself that you're not so proud of. That's a part of you, but it's also a part of your growth, right? And you wouldn't be that new version without that version, right? If you're thinking about all of the different versions of books, they wouldn't have that better version without the first version, okay? So making sure to understand that even though I'm growing, even though I'm getting better, even though I'm evolving, I don't have to hide that piece of me that I'm not so proud of, okay? I don't have to hide that, because guess what? It's there. And it's not necessarily something that I need to push all the way down to forget, because when we do that, that's suppression. That's not growth, right? We're not growing, we're not healing when we're suppressing. All we're doing is prolonging the growth. All we're doing is prolonging the healing. So allowing ourselves to digest, process the fact that that was a version of me. I may not have enjoyed every version of that piece of me, but that is me. And without that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I don't need to hide who I was to be proud of who I am. Number 2, I am not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. I am not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. I am not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. So understanding, again, this is kind of just to piggyback on number 1. Even though we know that the past is there, that's not all of who we are, right? So I'm not all of this. This is just not all of me. But I'm not going to be ashamed, and I'm not going to shame myself for it, for me moving through it, and for me living through it, and for me getting past it, and for me being better, right? I'm not going to shame myself for that. I'm not going to sit in guilt and sit in a guilt trip over that, right? If I've evolved, if I've changed, if I'm better, I'm not going to shame me for living through that and for surviving it. Right? And that's where, spaces of things that we may have done wrong, or spaces of things that were done wrong to us, right? I'm not going to shame myself for surviving abuse. I'm not going to shame myself for surviving, physical, mental, sexual, any type of abuse, right? It relates to that too, because sometimes we put ourselves in these boxes of shame, even when the shame should be given to someone else. We take on the shame of people that it didn't even originate with us, right? So I'm not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. You survived. You here. You have survived 100% of your hard days. You got an A+ for surviving 100% of your days. That's how we have to think about it. That was number 2. I am not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. Number 3, I can love the parts of me that were just trying to cope, right? We're talking about surviving. I can love the parts of me that were just trying to cope. I can love the parts of me that were just trying to cope. We're talking about surviving and survival mode. There are some pieces of us that are there because we were just trying to survive. We were just trying to make it through the day. We were just trying to cope, right? And because we had these things happen, whether it be to us or we created these situations, right? And because we were in those situations, we had to find ways to cope. They may have not been the best ways, but that's how we survived, right? So I can love the parts of me that were just trying to cope. You were just trying to make it. You were just trying to get better. You were just trying to stay alive, right? So in those situations, we have to, even though they may not be the prettiest part of us, for example, if we were stealing back in the day, right? We may have been stealing to try to, resell the stuff to make money. We may have been stealing stealing food. We may have been doing all of these different things, right? But you were just trying to live, right? Even though it may not have been the right thing to do. Maybe you got arrested or whatever. I'm making this up, y'all. I don't know. I don't know who I'm speaking to. May you got incarcerated, may got arrested, may whatever, right? But that was you trying to cope. Now, it's not justification for the wrong thing. It's just a matter of I have to accept that part of who I was in order to process and grow and get better and to heal, right? And some things and some decisions that we made were just us trying to survive. Doesn't make it right, but it also finds a way to not necessarily justify, but also to find a way to solidify what happened. This is what happened. This is where I was. And I can love that part of me. It's okay. It's okay. I was just trying to make it work, God knows I know about that daily. Oh, it was disappearing. Just a second. There it goes. God knows I know about that daily prayerful, just trying to cope. Yes. Sometimes you're just trying to make it through the day. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And again, I'm not condoning doing bad things, but I also know that there is a reality to life where we do things that we aren't proud of in order for us to survive, whether that be physically, emotionally, spiritually. We're just doing things, just trying to cope with what's happening or just trying to survive. So those pieces of yourself deserve love just as much as the beautiful pieces of you, or the things that you see as beautiful pieces of you, right? All of those things, all of those spaces of our lives where we acted out are just the smallest pieces of ourselves that needed love, that needed safety, that needed care, that needed certainty, right? So showing those pieces of ourselves some form of love, some form of compassion to say, look, Debbie, you was just trying to make it through. It's okay. It's not okay what you did, but it's okay of the state of mind that you were at. It was a common human experience for you to feel that way in that moment, okay? So that was number 3. I'm sorry, y'all. I should be moving quicker than this. My bad. Number 3. Number 4, that was I trust myself to respond with grace when old patterns show up. I trust myself to respond with grace when old patterns show up. I trust myself to respond with grace when old patterns show up. Okay? So this is about our responses. And we have to get to a point where when we see our old patterns, and we see them coming up, that we're able to respond to them, right? So the more that you're aware, the more that you're familiar with what those patterns are and where they're showing up, when they show up, when they're triggered, how they're triggered, you'll be able to trust yourself more and more to respond with grace versus to respond with how you used to respond. So that's a reminder. That was number 4. I trust myself to respond with grace when old patterns show up. Number 5, I trust that I am growing at the pace needed and my progress will unfold gracefully. I trust that I'm growing at the pace needed and my progress will unfold gracefully. I trust that I am growing at the pace needed and my progress will unfold gracefully. So this is just a matter of, even if you don't see the growth, right? Just know that you're going at the pace that you're supposed to go. Don't allow you going 1 or 2 days and you're not seeing something happening the way that you think that it should be happening, that it's not happening, right? It could still be happening, especially when it comes to mentally and spiritually, things that you're working through, right? So just trust that you're growing at the pace that you need, just for you. Again, we're talking about our own stories, our own, our own songs, our own novel, right? Our pace of our book, our pace of that story is going at the pace that it's supposed to be. Whether it's 300 or 1,200 pages, it's the pace that you're supposed to be at, right? So as long as we trust that that's where we are, we will progress. It will progress and unfold gracefully. That was number 5? Yeah, that was number 5. And then that was number 5. Number 6, the impossible feeling is just resistance. Growth is still waiting for me. The impossible feeling is just resistance. Growth is still waiting for me. The impossible feeling is just resistance. Growth is still waiting for me. Sometimes we get that feeling in a pit of our stomach of, it's impossible. I'm never going to be this version of me that I want to be. This will never happen. Like, those are the things that will replay in our minds. Hopelessness, or a sense of hopelessness, or feelings of failure, even though we haven't even started the process yet. That's all internal resistance, right? And sometimes we allow that internal resistance to overtake us to the point where we're stagnant, where we sit in it and we don't move forward, right? I've said this before, but moving forward while feeling the fear anyway is so crucial, because we sometimes feel like, because we feel the fear, that we shouldn't do it. It just means that you're going to use that feeling of fear as energy to push forward, right? So if you feel like you're in a state of impossibility, that it will never happen, that my growth, I'm going to always be the way that I am, and that I will never change, and that I will never evolve, push past that. Do it anyway. Even if you feel it's impossible, do it anyway. And the more steps that you take, the easier it will become, and the more the impossible feeling will start to decrease, okay? And the more confidence will begin to increase, right? So the impossible feeling is just resistance. It's just resistance. It's all it is. It's not telling you to stop, okay? Growth is still waiting for you on the other side. And then number 7, I am forever learning and growing, led by compassion, not pressure. I am forever learning and growing, led by compassion, not pressure. I am forever learning and growing, led by compassion, not pressure. Always be learning, always be growing. When we stop growing, that means that we are now stagnant, right? When we stop learning, that means that where is possibility when we have nothing else to learn, or we have nowhere else to grow, right? So always find ways to learn more. Always find ways to grow more. Never be at such a high pride level to the point that we feel like we can't grow and we can't get better and we can't learn. I always tell myself to be forever learning, be forever reading, forever trying to understand and being curious about this life that I'm living, right? Just because it's the way that things have always been and it's not broken doesn't mean that it can't be even better than that. Finding ways to be curious about me, and finding ways to learn in different spaces that I'm afraid of, right? Facing fears, diving into them, and being okay with being outside of the comfort zone. And the more that you're okay with being outside of the comfort zone, the more you will learn, the more you will grow, the more that you will heal. But if familiarity, if comfort is a high priority for you, your growth is going to stop at a certain point. Okay? So be forever learning, be forever growing, but lead yourself in that learning and growing with compassion, not pressure, right? Now, I'm not saying you got to read 10 books tomorrow, okay? Overzealous, calm down. Overzealous, calm down, okay? But be forever learning and growing, including that compassion and pacing yourself. No pressure, right? It's not about putting additional pressure on ourselves, but it's about challenging ourselves in the areas that we know that we have to be better in. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'll go back to the affirmations at the top. Number 1 is I don't need to hide who I was to be proud of who I am. Number 2, I am not my past, but I won't shame myself for surviving it. Number 3, I can love the parts of me that were just trying to cope. Number 4, I trust myself to respond with grace when old patterns show up. Number 5, I trust that I am growing at the pace needed and my progress will unfold gracefully. Number 6, the impossible feeling is just resistance. Growth is still waiting for me. And number 7, I am forever learning and growing, led by compassion, not pressure. No pressure, y'all. No pressure. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to post this live so that way you can watch the playback. If you haven't already, make sure to like the live. If you haven't already, please subscribe for our next lives. Our lives are every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you haven't already, please go to our website at haveninspired.com. Thank you, Hiru. And sign up for the newsletter. That way you'll get the updates for all of the lives. And if you have questions, you can always respond to that email with questions. And yeah, I'm just making sure to remind everybody that I will be going into my practicum to start taking some clients as a therapist for the first time in September. So I will be taking a break from lives in September, but between now and then, we will still have lives every week at 8 p.m. I'm going to head over to TikTok. Y'all all have a great rest of your night. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you, Faith Ford.